Synthaholics.
Welcome to Synthaholics. Thank you so much for downloading this episode. Today we are back at Dune, but we have a very special show because we have our first guests for Dune, people who are actually brave enough to go on planet Arrakis with us. We have the two guys from Conspirinormal. We have Adam, Sayne, and Serfiel from the Conspirinormal Podcast. Welcome, guys.
Hey, Thanks for having us.
Awesome, man. Yeah, thank you for having us, Aaron. You've actually been on our show.
Yes, I have. I was on talking about my graphic novel, Return to Snakeland. Snakeland, which Serfiel had all the knowledge there already. He knew everything about it, so it was
like the great ski mask.
Yes, exactly. Today we are in chapter 27. You have myself, Aaron O'Brien, and Dave Duncan. Dave, how you doing?
I'm doing good. The Dune trailer dropped this week, and I'm so excited.
Yeah. Did you guys get a chance to watch that Dune trailer?
Yeah, I watched it yesterday. Yeah,
I've watched
any thoughts?
A couple times.
A couple times.
It looks good. I'm just worried about the characters, but I mean, it's one of those things, I mean, not like the Lynch movie. Well, I don't want to be too blasphemous, but like if you're really into Dune,
the Lynch movie it was like a character sketch.
Yeah, and but I worry about like the actors. A lot of younger actors in really dramatic roles now. I don't know if it's just because I'm older, but just worrying about them trying to fill some of those shoes for these fictional characters that I know from all the books. I mean, it's just regular nerd shit. Of course, I'm going to have some issue. And then the whole thing of like, this is like your favorite band getting a major label deal or something, and their next album comes out, and you're like, oh man, their old stuff is cool. It's everybody, and it becomes everybody's thing. Yeah. When like Dune especially was really like this, kind of like elitist sci-fi nerd thing for so many people. But it looks really good.
It looks good. Yeah, it's Metallica's Black Album. where everyone goes like, man, they sold out, but there's some good songs on that album.
There's some great songs on that album.
So who does Aquaman play?
Duncan Idaho.
Duncan Idaho.
Okay. All right, cool.
He changed biospheres, so now he's no longer in water. He's in.
And was that Benedict Cumberbatch as one of the Harkonnens? Was that who that was?
No, that's Drax the Destroyer.
It's the guy from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Batista. Batista. Dave Batista. Okay, I was like, dude, is that Benedict Cumberbatch in like a bunch of in like a big muscle suit or something? Like,
no, it's Drax the Destroyer. We got Oscar Isaac as Duke Leto. I don't know the kid who's playing Paul, but at least he looks like a kid since he's supposed to be 14 in the book. Whereas
Timothy Chalamet or something like that. Chalamet.
Whereas Kyle MacLachlan, Mr. guy from Showgirls, looked like he was 30 in the Dune movie.
I only watched it a couple times, kind of in passing, so I didn't see if was there any look at any fully evolved guild navigators in there?
No, I didn't see that.
Okay, because I think that's something that I think Lynch did really good.
Yeah,
like that scene when they come into the Emperor is just like,
freaks you out.
I mean, we barely get a look at Baron Harkonnen. We just get a quick look at what's his name being played by Batista's character, God, I'm sorry. Raban.
Yeah, it starts with Raban.
Yeah, Raban. We get a very quick glimpse at Raban. I mean, since it's being split up over two movies, I'm guessing we might even get to see the Guild Navigators. I'm guessing the first movie will end around this-ish point. I suspect we'll see the... because he's got the visions of Chani, so Chani can show up throughout the movie, and then, like, I would assume around the halfway point is right around when he meets her. So I would assume the movie kind of ends there, but they can show Chani a bunch in his dreams or whatever. So she's got some screen time in the first half of the film.
So she gets paid.
Yes.
Are you guys members of the Facebook group Dune Siege Posting?
I don't know if I'm part of that.
I'm not part of that one. No.
That's like the that's like the ultimate Dune community on there. It's like it's mostly like memes and just drivel, but it's pretty good. But I heard that they're like on there from secondhand accounts. I heard that they're like removing the Baron's like perversions and stuff. Like he's like a lot of that stuff isn't going to be showcased, which I think like adds to his character ability. But and then also this they are removing the word jihad.
Yeah, it's weird.
They're doing
crusade instead. Yeah.
And I guess there's already
I noticed that. Yeah.
There's already some controversies. So as
you always got to be careful what you say, because some people will take it the wrong way. Because
we live in a much more PC world than 1984.
Well, we live in a post 9/11 world as well, where you look at Dune, it's taking an Al Qaeda, whatever you want to call it, terrorist view of the establishment. But you could say the same thing about the whole Star Wars franchise, So.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I just feel like taking jihad away from the thing in Dune like waters it down, because I mean, in all of Paul's visions, he's like, this is a horrible thing, but it's probably going to happen. And jihad's a horrible thing. Well, Crusades, you think of Crusade as like a good, noble thing.
Right. Yeah. And that's kind of our Western view. But like the actual history though of the Dune universe
awful.
Is that but like the origin and the colonization of space is by these people called like Buddha Islamics and Zen Sunnis. So it's like this this kind of future culture of like Buddhism and Eastern religions and Islam mixed together. And these people go out and colonize the universe. So it's actually, it does have actually like references. And of course he was like very inspired by Arabic and Islamic history and Semitic history. And like, that's where he wove a lot of this stuff together. Frank did in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because the 1960s, probably most modern middle America didn't know much about that stuff. So, especially someone picking up a sci-fi book. So,
although I keep reading that they want to make Lady Jessica's part a lot bigger than it was in the book, but she's got like almost more screen time than Paul in the first half of the book.
Yeah,
I mean, so far, I'm only about halfway through, but it seems like she's. I mean, I know he's supposed to be the lead or whatever, but she's got a lot of, because she's with him most of the time.
Yeah, she doesn't seem marginal at all to me in the book.
That's why I was always confused whenever they kept saying that they're going to make her part bigger, and I'm like, that's weird.
Yeah, I mean, like so much of the whole story is just on her, betrayal of the sisterhood and bearing, him a son, and she's a big part. I mean, I'd probably, and then his father, the Duke, dies so early on, so she, has a continuing role.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot how many books, but yeah, totally.
Yeah. Just before we go any further into the Dune universe, I just want to talk about what you guys have going on. So you have the Strange Reality Conference coming up. This is September 25th and 27th of this year, 2020. You guys, in case our audience doesn't know, Conspirinormal is a podcast, and you guys talk about anything from the paranormal to weird history to conspiracies to UFOs, anything you can think of in that realm. And you guys last year put together a conference down there with you guys. You guys are in Nashville, but of course COVID shut everything down for your plans. So you've done an online version of this presentation for this conference.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have. We're doing the online Strange Realities Conference September 25th through the 27th. And it's going to be like a 2-day thing, Saturday and Sunday. And we have a nighttime on an evening time, like 4 presentations on Friday. And we've got like 21 presenters that are going to be presenting at this thing. It's going to be pretty massive. So we're really looking forward to doing it. And I know, Aaron, I know you've already got your ticket, and you're already in the secret Facebook group. So
thank you,
sir. I would miss it. You guys have got a great lineup of guests, and so like we talk mostly about on our show sci-fi, and we've been mostly a Star Trek, but we talk about other things like The Expanse and even other movies over time. But like I think that whether you are a believer in UFOs or the paranormal or any of that, it's just all fascinating to know, because it is part of our American culture here, whether we like it or not, that this stuff is embedded. It's woven into our fabric of our society. And you guys have like the greatest guests, and these speakers are fantastic. The people that you have on here, you have John Tenney, who he's all around just got some crazy different ways of looking at the world, and he's reported on all sorts of stuff from the occult to UFOs to the paranormal. He's great. What else you got? You have Alan Greenfield, who he wrote The Secret Cipher of the Euphonauts, and and if you listen to the last 20 minutes of your last episode, was it 330?
Yeah, episode 330. Mm-hmm.
And he talks about his Enochian magic ritual. That was freaked out.
Did that give you chills?
Yeah.
He talked about the hooded figure. Yeah,
the hooded figure showing up, and there was like, "Who is that man?" And he was like, "What man?"
I'm an angel.
Yeah, pretty creepy.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll just go down the list for you guys.
Go down
who
the
we
list,
got. You already mentioned Alan Greenfield and John Tenney. They'll be speaking on that Saturday night, and so we've got Brent Rains, who actually is going to start us off on Sunday. He's the editor of Alternate Perceptions magazine, and Brent is he was actually on that show with Alan, and the first part that we did with Tim Beckley. Mm-hmm. And he's going to be talking about UFOs and like the paranormal and some of those aspects. Aaron Gullius is another speaker that we have. He's going to actually start the whole thing off on that Friday. And Aaron is a history professor and the producer of the Saucer Life podcast. And Aaron is going to be talking about kind of like, conspiracies that have like a happy ending, at least for the people that believe in them. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be pretty interesting.
Aaron has a soothing voice.
He does.
Oh, yeah. He really does. I listen to his voice. I'm like, man, that guy really talks well.
Yeah, he does have a really soothing voice. David Metcalf, who's a writer and a researcher, and has been on our podcast several times. All these people have been on our podcast at one time or another. And David's going to be talking about gas station grimoires. In other words, like, how would you describe that, Serfiel?
Well, it's really about how so much this magical stuff in the American marketplace is really accessible if you just know where to look, and that a lot of things that people just write off, like things in the Farmer's Almanac, or lottery prediction booklets with turbaned mystics on the front of them and things like that. How a lot of these things actually do have magical operative things that you can do with them, and that magic is very accessible in the American marketplace and Walmarts and gas stations. If you really kind of take a more down-to-earth and folk look at things, it's something that you can find anywhere.
Yeah, that you had an episode with him recently, and that was just fascinating.
Yeah, he's a really interesting guy.
Yeah.
Stephanie Quick, who has also been on our podcast, she's going to talk about how to manifest synchronicities in your own life. So it's going to be interesting. Red Pill Junkie, good friend of ours.
All the way from Mexico City.
Yeah, all the way from Mexico. The international element here. He's going to talk about some obscure UFO cases from Spain that people have, people in the United States don't know a lot about, or really in the whole English-speaking world, for that matter.
Right.
He's probably going to wear a wrestling mask through the entire presentation.
Yes. Let's hope so. Let's hope that he does. Tim Badal is also going to be part of this, and Tim is the news editor for Coast to Coast and also the host of the famous Badal of America. And Tim is going to talk about his visit to a Flat Earth conference last year.
Yeah, that was fascinating, yeah.
That was...
You're going to kind of get his gonzo journalism, anthropological take on it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And Guy Malone, he's going to be talking about how aliens are actually demons. So that's going to be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
He was actually part of Badal and him were actually part of the conference last year. And also part of the conference last year was Timothy Renner. We really don't know what he's going to be talking about yet, but it's definitely something about Bigfoot, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's what he talks about all the time.
Kiki Dombrowski. She lived in Nashville till recently, and she's going to be talking about prophecies. We talked to her just the other night about her talk, and it looks pretty interesting. So you can kind of see those previews up there on our site, on our YouTube channel right now. Greg Bishop, probably one of the best researchers, author that's out there about all these weird subjects. Mm-hmm. So Greg is going to be talking about how the phenomenon reflects the obliqueness of the subject, whatever that means.
Yeah,
and Jenny Ashford from the 13 O'Clock Podcast, she'll talk about a true crime case that occurred in St. Augustine, Florida.
Cool.
And so that's just a little bit of true crime flavor on Friday night. Nice. And Steven Snyder, also known as the Recluse. He is a researcher of parapolitical weirdness, and I'm not quite sure exactly what his presentation is going to be. He told me today that he's kind of working through it. It just kind of comes to him as he works through it. So,
well, that guy has so much weird information. Period.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, whatever he does is going to be chock full of information.
Yeah.
Jack Montgomery and also Tony Cale are two guys that write a lot about folk magic.
Cool.
And they're actually hoodoo. For Tony writes a lot about that, and Jack is actually a powwow practitioner, and he is going to be talking about. They are both going to be doing a joint presentation in two parts, where they're talking about folk magic and the paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
Joshua Cutchin, he's going to be talking about some paranormal aspects of Bigfoot.
Cool.
And he was there last year with us here in Nashville, and also Reverend Michael Carter. And Reverend Carter is going to talk about UFOs in the Bible.
Interesting.
Our good friend Dr. Future, also from Nashville. Dr. Future is gonna talk about some aspects of some research that he has done for his Two Masters, Two Gospel book series. And Ren Collier is also going to be there. Ren is going to be talking about some occult aspects of Hollow Earth.
Wow.
And
Nice.
so Soraya Askath, last but not least, who is going to talk about time and the mechanism of the paranormal. So That's the lineup, guys. That's who we have. And you
It's-
just mentioned John Tenney and Alan Greenfield previously.
Yeah. Guys, I'm not even lying. The stuff that you're going to hear from any of this that they're going to be presenting is mind blowing. I mean, when I listen to your podcast, it's rarely do I not walk away with like a nugget of knowledge. If not, my whole brain explodes. Yeah, I mean, I'm not joking. I mean,
Awesome.
I mean, usually it's like, okay, there's like I get a little peppered in little things. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's it. And other times, like, what the hell is this? So. You guys got some great guests, and these guys, the research they do is bizarre. I don't know where they find this stuff, but they do, and their brains are just perfect for like understanding it too, because some of the stuff is very hard to digest, So
Yeah, we really like it. We like finding people with like a unique perspective or take on a wide variety of these type of topics. But especially everyone at this conference has been on the show multiple times, I think, and they all have a unique perspective that you're not going to find everywhere.
yeah. And that's why when people ask me about like podcasts, I always like if I know they might be into the genre, I'll be like, you gotta listen to Conspirinormal, and if any of this stuff even somewhat piques your interest, signing up for this, it's like they said, it's a 3-day event. It's $20. You can't beat it. You can watch it from your home. You don't have to go to Nashville, and just the information, download dump that you're going to receive is, I mean, and some of the stuff I know some people will be like, I don't believe that or whatever. And it's like, fine, but there's some cool stuff here just that will like stuff you didn't even realize, like that you were saying, like the gas station grimoires and stuff like that. I mean, that was fascinating, by Metcalf. I mean,
Yeah.
That's really like what he's saying is true. It's like the magic that's been peppered in, or magic practice that's been peppered in throughout not just our everyday life, but even throughout our economy and all sorts of weird things that you wouldn't even think about. And it's like, but there it is.
Sounds amazingly fascinating. And I just listened to your episode where you had the guy talking about how Hitler escaped to Venezuela, and there's like no evidence that he committed suicide or any of that stuff. It was just like super interesting.
Okay, yeah, Gerard Williams, yeah, that was a good show.
Yeah. You guys have quite a few good shows. I could rattle off a few, but yeah,
Thank you.
you guys do great, and
Thanks.
I cannot commend you guys enough for all the hard work you guys have done, and I know you guys have been at it for a while, so.
It's just super fascinating.
Yeah, especially Adam.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been doing it for 8 years. Serfiel's been with me it's been 2.5 now.
Yeah.
So it's been a little while.
Yeah.
Well,
it's
and for anybody that's just like into mostly sci-fi, this has a big crossover and a long history. Some the early pulp writers later became UFO people or even occultists. I know you referenced like Alan Greenfield.
Mm-hmm.
Him and a lot of his buddies got started with pulp sci-fi. So this all, it all cross-pollinates, and it has a long history of this interaction between fantasy and these type of speculations.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't see how you couldn't, because here you have, like if you are a writer, if you are someone who is looking for inspiration, you start digging into things like, what is that about? What is it? UFOs? What's paranormal events or the occult? And all of a sudden, like you find it's like woven into everything. It's all there, except most people either ignore it, or they know about it and they're afraid to even look into it.
Well, and a lot of it is our history is written for us, and it's written so incredibly censored it's not even funny. So,
well, that's true too. Yeah,
that's a big part of it too. We're just like spoon-fed lies from first grade on. or half.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of weirder elements to the stories.
Absolutely. And so definitely check them out. And like I said before, you can check out strangerealityconference.com.
Yes, sir.
And get on there and get your tickets. $20 is not much. And like I said, it's the information you're going to get is going to be pretty sweet. So I'm excited for it. So
yeah, it's going to be definitely chock full of information. And for a little while, the presentations will still be up there on that Facebook group.
Nice.
So
if
people
you can't
can
get
go
to all of it at that same time, yeah.
We've already got people who have signed up from Australia, from the Middle East, from Europe. So, I know that there's going to be a huge time time zone difference, and we're just kind of basing the time on the Eastern time in the United States. So
okay, cool. All right. Well, guys, let's get into just this chapter of Dune. We're in chapter 27. Serfiel said that he is the Dune guru. He knows all.
Yeah, I've got. I don't know about that, but I do have this really nice. I wish you guys could see it. This leather-bound edition of the first book with like the little, it's got the gold on the. Gold on the edge of the pages, and it's got
like
little,
the Bible.
The little ribbon. It's like a Bible. Yeah, I need to get the version with the red words, like with Muad'Dib's words.
That
It's
would
not
be
quite
great.
there, but it's pretty nice. And it's got the maker on the back end. Before we get started, I do just want to say, bless the maker and his water. Bless the coming and going of him. May his passage cleanse the world. May he keep the world for his people.
There you go. Thank you.
that was impressive.
He had that quote ready.
Yeah, I did.
Nice.
From the Princess of Elam.
Yeah.
So we start off the chapter. Paul and Jessica are still in the Ornithopter, and they're going through the sandstorm. But Paul realizes that it's the storm is subsiding, and he's kind of figuring out how to navigate through it. And like an upspout of wind kind of pushes them up, and he banks his Ornithopter a certain way to get him pretty much up above the whole storm. So that saves their lives, but they do realize the Ornithopter is damaged, and they have to put the Ornithopter down. They find a little spot, rocky crag, because obviously they're worried about worms, right? And
ringworms, tapeworms, all the worms. Their food's probably not very good.
No, it's terrible. It's awful stuff. And Paul puts down the Ornithopter, and he basically he uses he puts it down in the sandy area where he knows that the worms are going to take and gobble up the Ornithopter. So all evidence that they were even there will be gone for the Harkonnens and the Sardaukar warriors that are searching for them, if they are still searching for them. So, and from there they climb up into the rocky crags. They're going through everything to escape the worm. The worm does show up, and they comment that it's the size of a guild spaceship. So they're both pretty freaked out by the size of it all, and they travel along this ridge, and it's funny because this whole time Jessica, who is his mother, is starting to take orders from Paul, or not orders, but kind of following his direction. And I don't know about your moms, but I don't think that would ever happen in my life.
Yeah.
Well,
I think it's kind of this him becoming a man thing. She's like recognizing him as a man and recognizing his like leadership potential.
Yeah, but she is kind of putting her life in his hands. I mean, she calls him out more than once.
Yeah.
But it's funny. It's the little captions where she's like, wow, he's really, she's noticing the steel in his voice or something like that. Just weird stuff. I'm like, yeah, I don't know, maybe. But
it is kind of weird and Oedipal too, because his father just died, right?
Yeah, Yeah, it's an odd thing. I don't know. It seems weird to me that there's this getting kind of. I understand where Herbert's trying to kind of say that Paul's like changing right here, like everything's changed for him since he entered the desert, but he's definitely. I don't know how to put it. It's a little like silly and a little bit though. It's a simplistic, I guess. That's the word I'm working for. You know. That his mom is sort of like, "Oh, Paul, you're so manly." So,
ooh, Paul,
maybe it is.
I wasn't married to your dad, so it's not incest. Wait, yes,
yeah, right, yeah. It still is.
Damn it.
So they're going along the ridge, and they end up they're going to have to cross into. Basically, another area where there's another ridge to run across. It's like kilometers away, and when they're about to do that, his mom falls into like basically a sand pit. It's like she just it's quicksand technically without the water. It's like I don't know what you want to call it, but she just disappears, and Paul jumps down after her to pull her out. And when he pulls her out, he loses his pack that has like their food, extra water, their tent, everything. And they have to. At first, he's like, "Well, that's it. We're dead. We're done." And then
game over, man. Game over.
Exactly. And then she's like, I think you work out a little bit more than just what you're, than just give up right now. We haven't come this far just to give up. And what happens is he realizes that his
he can use his mother as a grappling hook.
Well, that's true, but he decides that he's going to do a science experiment where he's going to take his paracompass, open it up, and he uses it to he knows the spice is alkaline. And the paracompass power pack is acid based, so if he mixes them up, he'll have this foam that somehow is going to open up the sand and move it. This part really,
it's kind of weird.
It's a weird thing. I'd love to try this, see if anybody's tried this on an experiment.
Dune
chemistry. This actually moves sand. Yeah, does this move sand? I don't know. And by doing this, by mixing it up, that he does this subtly. Mixture makes this foam. And Paul uses Jessica as basically, as Dave says, as a grappling hook, and pushes her into the sand where she grabs the pack.
Try not to drown, Mom.
Yeah, try not to kill Mom. And they do. She gets a hold of the strap, and they end up pulling it up, the pack out. So, and from there, they decide they're going to, they're going to set up camp. They're not going to even try to run across that huge expanse yet. It's just they're too exhausted from everything they've gone through. So they set up a tent that's in a crag. And daylight's coming too, so they can't go running through daylight. They only have like an hour or so of night left, and while they're doing that, they're sitting there and they're resting, and they look out and they see just another sandworm comes by, and it's like they says the size of I think a space frigate or something like that. So it's enormous. So they can't get over how big these things are. So
what do they eat?
And that's where
so big.
What do they eat? That's a very good question.
They eat spicing, minor things, ornithopters, like nutritious things.
You guys can't give away the life cycle of the sandworm yet.
That's right. And that's where we end this chapter. So, this is, as I said before, this is them just making their way through the desert, trying to survive. Dave, what about you? Any ideas or thoughts about this as you read this chapter?
It's just kind of a nice bonding moment for Paul and his mom, saving her life, proving that he's more of a man. Because she's coming to the realization, because the Bene Gesserit training, and she knows the spice is awakened, and he's basically said as much that he's like, she knows he's changing in more ways than one. So we're adding like a more heroic stance on top of what just the conversation action as opposed to words. So it's moving things forward. The relationship is going to get more complicated probably. So how about you?
Like I said before, I thought it was weird, simplistic how they kind of making the mom be like, "Well, look at Paul, he's growing up so much." I mean, you do say that with your kids. You're like, "Oh man, they've grown and they've changed." But if I was wandering the desert with my mom, I don't know if she'd have the same reaction to some of the stuff that Paul says and does.
However, Paul is bred for a specific purpose. So
that's true. He's not.
Maybe she's like recognizing, as a Ben Gesserit and as the one who bore him, as part of that program. She's thinking like, oh, okay, this is what we created,
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah,
there's more to it. Yeah.
But I mean, I do get the simplistic thing, and it's something I brought up a lot. The book almost reads almost like a screenplay almost. There's not a whole lot of description. I mean, as the book has gone on, it's gotten a little bit more into description, but it's very direct and in a way simplistic, like you were saying, with how it handles some of the writing. It's very different from most things I've read.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And we do end up with Jessica saying that she's going to do more of his Bene Gesserit training, his Bennu nervature.
Well, you were pitchy earlier, Paul, so we got to get you not pitchy.
Yeah, exactly. I heard when you screamed in the Ornithopter before.
You sound like a little girl. Didn't your balls drop when your dad died?
Yes. So he's definitely going to. She's definitely continuing his Bene Gesserit training even out in the desert. Paul's sort of like, well, Mom, this is really now the time's like, you got anything better to do, kind of thing. So,
survive.
So she's continuing the training as well. So this is kind of a transition chapter to how they're going to obviously link up with the Fremen later on. But Stilgar. But it's interesting to see Paul changing. Serfiel, anything that you want to say about this chapter or anything else about Dune itself?
Yeah, I revisited the chapter, and there's a few things that kind of stood out to me. His prescience is like he's recognizing this extra dimension to it, in that I believe Gurney isn't there. Is that what he said?
It was Duncan, Idaho, I think.
Duncan. Okay, so
sort of like a thought of.
So he's recognizing this weird element to the prescience where it's almost like this reality selection thing, and we're starting to get some hints of the problem with prescience and divination that we start encountering, especially in the later books, and this idea of being able to change the outcomes of the future, or being trapped by the prescience itself. And so we're starting to get some kind of hints at those themes, I think, in it. Then another thing I thought was interesting was that he talks about how much the litany against fear had this power to it. And I guess it was something that he had always memorized before, but in this moment of extreme dread, using it, and actually it being very operative, I guess he recognizes this extra dimension of power to it.
Yeah.
So I thought that was real interesting. And then this is where he gets really up close and personal with a worm for the first time.
Yes.
Because I know they see a worm when they rescue the workers. The harvester. And then but I think this is where he really gets up close and personal to it, and it has some kind of transformative effect on him.
I wonder if this is the end scene in the preview, because you see two figures, presumably Paul and Jessica, looking at that worm, looking at them.
Probably, because that's what they did that in the Lynch one too.
Right. Yeah, it very similar in certain ways. this is the first chapter they really do see the worm. Besides, you said the spice harvester, and obviously they have no real protection to get away from it, other than the rock formations that they're in. So, some great ideas or great thoughts there with Paul, but and he is struggling with that. He's going through different parts where he's seeing things in the future, and he's even like I think when he was flying the Ornithopter, there's certain points where he realizes just how his muscle moves and how he can react certain ways faster or to calculate where the wind is coming and stuff like that. And so
it's almost got this like quantum dimension to it.
Yeah, exactly. And the Mentat side of him, or his Mentat training, has probably helped him with the human computer aspect of to calculate things in his head real quickly. So, it's interesting. And obviously this is where he, comes into his own. I mean, we a couple chapters back when where he has the waking visions and stuff like that of the future, and he sees the jihad in the future, as Dave mentioned before, and saw the horror of it, but he didn't see any other way at that time. So, so since he got out in the open desert, this is where he awakens all these abilities. Before they were there, but they were all kind of like very quiet in his life. So now he can't deny them. So
one thing I did want to say about one of my observations of the books in general. I think, and I'm not sure. I've read like a lot of the books of essays written by Herbert and stuff. It's just been a long time, but it seems like the idea of the jihad and everything is it really relates to like Stalin to me. This like idea that if Stalin hadn't have been so brutal and turned the Soviet Union to what it was to be able to have this war machine, then they would have been easily destroyed by the Germans. Mm-hmm. But like what he did was like necessary to even save Russia and the surrounding area itself. Like I think that's what Paul's journey really reminds me of. And I mean, I guess we're all talking to people who pretty much have read these, but he's like preparing humanity, and this jihad is like necessary to brutally prepare humanity for something that's to come.
It's interesting. Just that without, I guess, without a monster like Stalin, Russia
and that's a popular way of looking at things for a lot of Russians even today. And I've known a few who kind of, that's pretty much how they think about it on some kind of like larger level.
It's probably how they look at Putin right now.
But the thing is with Stalin is like he did so many things so stupid as well. Like, getting rid of all of his command officers when they were telling him that the Nazis were going to invade and stuff like that. He kept on sending them off to the gulags or executing them and stuff like that. So just like stupid ways of thinking. He was such a control freak and so small-minded.
Oh, absolutely insane. Yeah, absolutely insane.
But yeah, I mean, sometimes it takes something like that to, just be completely inhuman to push things in a certain direction. And I guess in the end that's kind of what Machiavelli was trying to say in The Prince. Just that you have to be so underhanded and so awful that that basically nice guys finish last kind of deal. Which like everything that you've been taught is like not going to get you anywhere in life. I mean, isn't it? I mean, isn't that kind of what it says? And even you look at Stalin, or if you want to go into Dune, go into what Paul does and what happens in future books.
Yeah, but the flip side of that is, without the Medicis, we wouldn't have a lot of
wouldn't have any art.
The best parts of Western civilization. Yeah.
Oh. That's true. So you're saying you take the good with the bad?
Yeah, I guess. I'm not really trying to make any big philosophical judgments, but just,
Just pointing things out.
Yeah, like, Stalin did a pretty good fight against the Nazis, and the Medicis rescued the Hermetic literature and funded some good art,
Aaron, is it your guys' goal to do every chapter, to do every book with this whole chapter by chapter thing?
Or
do you just want to do the first one?
We're going to try to do the first one, and then we'll see where we'll go afterward. Maybe we'll take a break and do another book, or maybe if we're all jazzed and we want to do Dune Messiah, we'll jump into that.
You just got to continue until all the way through Chapter House, man.
Okay.
I really want to get to God Emperor of Dune because I don't.
Yes.
I'm just like, I don't know. I haven't read the books before, but I was just looking at some YouTube videos. I'm like, what's going on with Dune? And I found a video. It was like the 10 most powerful people in Dune, and Leto Atreides II or whatever, the Worm Emperor. I'm like, what? What the hell is this? And I'm like, I just need.
Oh, dude, don't give it away. If not, spoiler alert. Oh man.
I just need to know how this happens. So I'm just trying to. I want to get to God Emperor of Dune so I can see this craziness.
I'll tell you off air, man, if you really want to know. I'll give you the secret handshake.
Yeah, but still, like, I want to see it progress through the book and everything.
Yeah, it'll blow your mind.
Yeah, it sounds insane. And the first book is just kind of like dipping your toe in, and then it sounds like by God Emperor of Dune, it's gone like completely batshit crazy. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it progresses as the books go on.
Oh, cool, and maybe we'll never get to the end of all of the books because there are quite a lot, and like you said, even his son wrote other books, which
his son Anderson wrote like 15 of them.
Right. So there's quite a lot to get through. So we could be here for a very long time.
And chapter by chapter makes things go a lot longer. And then aren't like most of the books his son and Kevin Janus wrote? Most of them are prequels.
I don't know. Maybe Serfiel can to that.
Yeah. A lot of them. I think most of them are. You're right about that.
It's like 60% of the new Dune books take place before Dune. This book,
which Dune really solves the, and I guess this isn't spoilers because this is the prequel material. The Dune really solves the problem of technology in these vast, space epics and operas, in that it takes care of the all the issues with thinking machines taking over, etc. It puts that all in the past,
right?
Because at one point the thinking machines did try to take over. They had the Butlerian Jihad, where humanity came out on the other side with strict regulations against letting machines think, and the development of actual human powers and human potential to almost become computer-like, which is where you get the mentats and you get weird things like the Talaxu and these other people on these different planets. So like, because it solves that issue, so we're not in some kind of transhumanist future. It's still mortal humans living on, thousands of years into the future, just using the potentials of humans and the human body.
Drugs are the answer, not technology.
Drugs
too. Yeah. Different kinds of biological symbiosis also. Yeah. The spice must flow.
Yeah, absolutely.
My veins.
Very interesting. So this is it's great having you guys on this episode, and Serfiel, I'm glad you are here because you have such a vast knowledge of Dune.
I never get to talk to anyone about it too, man. It's really...
Is it like having your favorite band and nobody knows the band?
Yeah, except that's about to all change for us. So
yeah, but it's like they only know the one album.
I mean,
yeah, true.
I mean, like I think when we do the Dune movie, we should get you back on so we can talk about it again.
Okay,
The
cool.
movie. Yeah.
And you'll be recovered from Strange Realities by that point. So
When does
You
the
won't have
movie
to-
come out?
Who knows? I thought the trailer was going to have a date on it, so the date is still
Okay.
in flux. I mean, I know it was originally slated for December this year, but with no date at the end of the trailer, I'm guessing they're still figuring that out in this COVID world.
Wow. Yeah.
In a world
So
where
I've
we
got
don't
my little
have
movie
drugs to
theater
fix
set
all our
up.
problems yet.
Yeah, I've got my little movie theater set up with a projector and a big sheet, so everything should be. If I have to rent it or however it's distributed, I will.
Wikipedia says December 18th, 2020 still, so
Uh-oh.
I wonder if they are going to indeed put it out, if they're just going to put it out as a on-demand.
I feel like they're not
We-
because I mean I would have if they were sold on that I would assume that trailer would have had a date on it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking because the trailer did not have a date, they're still in flux. That's my best
Yeah.
guess.
Well, maybe they just didn't know. They put it together. Where would they even release that? They don't Warner Brothers. They don't have their own streaming site, right?
How have these other movies? A bunch of movies have come out, and they're like $30 or something.
It'd probably be HBO
Yeah.
Max because isn't that how the Justice League Snyder Cut's coming out? Because AT&T acquired that, whatever the company.
Oh, I didn't know
Warner
that.
Brothers. I guess AT&T acquired Warner Brothers, and AT&T is superseding them for the Snyder Cut since Warner Brothers
Okay.
didn't want it to come out. So I guess theoretically it could come out on HBO Max.
Yeah.
For an additional charge,
Possible.
because that's what Disney Plus is doing. They're putting out like Mulan or whatever for an additional charge through their
Right.
platform. So maybe, who knows?
Right. Guess we'll find out. I don't think theaters are open even out here in Buffalo area. We have the drive-in, the drive-in is great. So, do you guys have drive-ins out in Nashville?
Yeah, we have a couple outside of town.
Oh,
Nice.
Aaron. So Kaylee actually found out that they're not playing Tenet in New York because of some like feud, like New York governor and the distributor and Chris Nolan are in. So they're not showing it in New York anywhere because they won't open up the inside theaters.
Okay.
In New York City, because Cuomo won't open them up, so they've pulled Tenet from the entire state.
Jeez, man.
Yeah,
That ain't cool.
So we can't even watch it here in New York.
I guess I'll just pirate it. I mean, come on. I mean, it's like, yeah, come on, man. It's not cool.
The views expressed do not necessarily reflect the.
The Conspirinormal Podcast.
We don't pirate anything. No. Don't take me away, NSA. All right, well, guys, it's great to have you on. And like I said before, go to StrangeRealitiesConference.com to get your tickets. It's really, really cool stuff. I'm not even lying. Stuff that they talk about is worth checking in and getting your mind expanded a little bit, stretch out that mind, and seeing what they have, and it's everything you can think of, from UFOs to paranormal to political conspiracy stuff. I mean, anything under the sun.
Think
It's
of
all
it as
there.
audio visual spice to expand your mind.
Fold space.
You can fold space after getting your ticket, so
Once you've
it's
consumed all
funny.
the information.
Yeah, so definitely check it out. $20 ticket. It's definitely worth checking out. So Adam Serfiel, thank you so much for
Thanks a lot.
this. And guys, next week we will be getting into the next couple chapters, so get ready for more Dune. Still God. He'll be showing up. All right, guys, until next week, let the spice flow.
Thanks for having us.
Bye.
Million miles aside of Mars. Well, McCoy, my boy, come You're the best drinking friend.